Welcome back to the S&T podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about a big game this week in the SEC. Texas A&M at LSU in Death Valley. LSU ranked number 20, 5-2. Texas A&M 7-0. The away team ranked number 3 in the country. Going to be a pretty interesting game this week. We'll see if LSU is a fraud team. LSU is, or Texas A&M, excuse me, is 2.5 point favorites, which in my book, I think LSU is going to be a fraud team this year. I haven't really won any important games. Lost to Vanderbilt last week. Texas A&M seems to be kind of stable, legit. They beat Notre Dame early on in the season. Number 3 in the country. We'll see. They're going to have an interesting finish to the season. It'll be interesting to see how they perform if they make the SEC championship, and then also if they make the playoffs. As we saw last year, it doesn't matter what seed you are. It doesn't matter if you won your conference championship or not. But this game is going to be big in the SEC just because of all the different teams in the SEC that are either 2-loss teams or 1-loss teams, or in Texas A&M's case, undefeated. So I'll kind of let Cezanne take off on that, but this game is going to be interesting. Just in the grand scheme of things, I don't want to get too in depth. Otherwise, this could be an hour-long episode. So, Cezanne, what are you thinking about this week?
Well, the SEC gauntlet continues, Tom. These two teams going at it this week. LSU at home against Texas A&M. The Texas A&M Aggies are off to like one of their better starts in recent memory. Number 3 in the country already this early in the season. Can't remember a time they were ranked this high. Try not to get too much hope down there in College Station because they've seen good starts before and then the season unraveled in front of their eyes. So they don't want to get too anxious just yet. But they're having a really good year going against the LSU Tigers, who are having kind of the opposite season right now. The LSU Tigers are reeling. They are not the kind of team we thought they were going to be this year, and we're kind of seeing that with a few teams this year. Clemson, uh, teams like that are Penn State, that are not living up to their expectations as usual. And LSU coming off a loss to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is, one of those teams on the rise, but that's a game that they're used to winning, and now having 2 losses on the season, dropping down to number 20 in the rankings. Like, this is not the season that they thought was going to be for them this year. And they still got a long schedule ahead of them, including this game going against the Aggies, who are number 3 in the country right now, riding high. And Brian Kelly, he's on the hot seat again. I keep seeing his name. Anytime I turn on my phone and look at college football, Brian Kelly's on the hot seat. Now that we've seen James Franklin get fired at Penn State and other coaches moving around, things like that. So LSU, they're kind of in limbo right now. They're kind of in a tough situation. Um, their playoff dreams are kind of on the line in this game. If they lose again, it's kind of wraps for them as far as the playoff, I would say. And SEC championship, you could probably put a pin in that too. So this is they're gonna have to win this game. They're probably gonna have to win out at this point to really show that they belong, because their only good win is Clemson, and Clemson's not even good anymore, as we know. The Clemson Tigers are not good either. So if your biggest win is Clemson and then you lost to Vanderbilt, it's not a great look. You know what I mean? It's not a great look, and they are not at the top of the SEC this year like they have been in past seasons. So, kind of interesting situation on their part. Texas A&M. I mean, Marcel Reed, the quarterback, he's playing out of his mind. Mike Elko, the coach there, he's a really good coach coming over from Duke. He's elevated the Aggies to levels that they haven't seen in recent years. They're finally at the top of the SEC, and like I said before, they don't want to get too anxious, because we've seen this before. But if they can keep winning games, if they can keep winning, the playoffs are a certainty for them at this point. If they can, get to 10 wins, I think we could pretty much lock them in. and SEC championship as well. Hanging in there with Alabama and Ole Miss and teams like that. Georgia, they're trying to prove they belong with the elite group this year. So very interesting to see the way the SEC is shaping out. One thing I want to say is that the SEC might get 5 teams in the playoff this year, Tom. Last year they only got 3, if I remember correctly. Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas were the 3 SEC teams. Excuse me, 3 SEC teams, and that was kind of a disappointment for the SEC because they thought they could at least get 4. Well, this year, if it holds, they're going to get 5 in because you got Vanderbilt there, Ole Miss, Alabama, A&M, Georgia, Tennessee not far behind, Oklahoma not far behind, and Missouri. Like the SEC is going to rule the playoff this year if they keep it up. So watch out for that. What do you think about that, Tom?
So I'm glad you sent it back to me right there because I kind of wanted to interrupt you there and also bring up, okay, yes, you are correct. If the playoffs started right now, tomorrow or today, tomorrow, today, tomato, tomato, but in my opinion, if the playoffs started tomorrow, that's the entire key there because there's so many teams that still have to play each other throughout the SEC. So like Oklahoma plays I think every single team Oklahoma plays the rest of the season is ranked. Now Oklahoma is not a pushover team. So Oklahoma can go in there and they might sneak it. They might sneak a game, or not sneak a game necessarily, but they might win a couple of those games. And if they win a couple of those games, it's such a domino effect to the point, and you don't even know where the dominoes are gonna fall because you have Ole Miss. Ole Miss could go out there and beat anybody any given week. You have Missouri and Vanderbilt this week. Missouri and Vanderbilt both only have 1 losses. They're 1 losses to Alabama. That's going to be an incredible game. And Missouri's ranked number 15 with 1 loss. You have Georgia. You still have Alabama. I mean, Florida. I mean, Florida is not somebody to be slept on. They might sneak somebody. I don't know exactly who they play now. Maybe they're done with the big dogs for the season, but then also, at the end of the year, you have Texas A&M. You have all these different games still throughout the season where it's like the SEC is going to eat itself alive, or you're going to have just maybe a couple teams that in the second half of this season like elevate themselves even higher and clearly like put themselves in the playoffs. Because I mean, just like Alabama, I think first of all, they beat 4 ranked teams in the last 4 weeks. That's incredible. After losing to Florida State, I mean they have completely turned it around. I think they have the best player in the country, Ty Simpson at quarterback. But to get back to just Texas A&M and Texas A&M and gosh,
LSU.
LSU. So I mean, like a kind of exactly what I was saying. Like, what if LSU comes out and wins this week? They're at home. They're in Death Valley. It's gonna be a 6:30 p.m. game. Death Valley is gonna be rocking. It's gonna be a hard place to win. And so, yeah, Texas A&M, home of the 12th man, they'll probably be used to the crowd noise, but they'll be used to it in their favor. If LSU beats Texas A&M, that's like it's like Arizona State beating Texas Tech last week. It's just gonna throw a whole wrench into the system. But as far as the SEC goes, like I said, we could talk about this just like from this week on. We could talk an hour about all the different possibilities of who can make the SEC championship. Like, don't forget, Texas only has 2 losses. Now, are they the best team in the SEC? No, but you can't look past a game against Texas, whether you're at Texas or whether Texas is coming to you. The SEC is going to be a dogfight to close out the year. Now, again, I do agree. If the playoffs started tomorrow, the SEC deserves 5 teams. But I think by the end of the season, after the conference championship and everything like that, I think we're only going to see maybe three or four SEC teams. I mean, maybe I think four at the most. But I think by the end of the season, once everybody plays each other out, I mean, shoot, like you're an Oklahoma fan. I don't mean to get you all jazzed up, but hypothetically, if Oklahoma wins out, what happens? You know, there's so many different possibilities left in the SEC this year. It is crazy, and it's kind of the same with the Big Ten, but not to the same extreme, I would say, because the SEC they have so many ranked teams, they have so many good teams, and they genuinely it have multiple teams where you could have an SEC football conference championship tournament, and honestly, I don't know who would win. My guess would be Alabama, but I don't know who would win. But that's I'm glad you asked me to kind of say a little bit more there, because it's this game is going to be fun. It's going to be important because I mean, this is going to be one where if LSU loses, they're out, but they might ruin someone else's season down the road. If Texas A&M loses, it sets them back, and then all of a sudden LSU jumps back into the conversation. It's just like it's so wild in the SEC right now. I love it. I love it. But I'll stop going on my little rant because, like I said, I could talk for an hour about that. So that's